Today on the Winded Podcast, I was joined by WBZ News Radio's reporter Matt Shearer. Matt was great. He was very thorough about his process, the interesting people that he's met, and he even got into why he has yet to win an Emmy. This is a great episode. I hope you enjoy it. The Winded Podcast starts now. Welcome back to the Winded Podcast. I'm your host, Seamus Sullivan, and today I have a very special guest. And if you don't know who this guest is, you probably don't live in Boston and you don't have an internet connection. Today I have WBZ News Radio reporter Matt Shearer on the show. Matt, how are you doing today?
Woohoo! I'm doing great. Thank you, Seamus. And to be honest, a lot of people in Boston don't know who I am too. So if anyone's listening in Boston, this is a great chance to get to know you. Hi, I'm Matt.
Excellent, Matt. Thank you so much again for joining me. I will say, when I announced, on my Instagram that I was having you on, it was probably the biggest response I've got of people, excited about it. And,
Nice.
you're a big guest in this area. People, you have a lot of fans for the work that you do. Which
You're way
kind of
too
leads
kind.
me into my first question, and we'll leave athletes out of this just for the sake of this discussion. Who would you say is the most beloved person in the Boston, Massachusetts, New England area?
Oh my gosh, not allowing
Beloved or
athletes is diabolical.
Yeah, beloved,
Let me-
or I would say universally liked is kind of a better way to, don't have a
yeah,
bad thing to say about them.
that's a good question. Oh, gosh, you're gonna cut this to make me sound smarter, right? Because
Of course.
I honestly don't have a great answer off the top of my head. I feel like there's a lot of hate in the blood of people in Boston.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to pick like one person that just everybody loves. Like even people like Guitar Bear, right? The guy out there on the street who plays the guitar while dressed up like a teddy bear. He's
Yep.
got haters, So it's
Yeah.
like, if people can't even love the fun-loving guitar-playing teddy bear, then I don't know who is so universally loved. Maybe, no, I got nothing.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say, and this is, may sound like I'm sucking up to you, but just based on the feedback that I got, it wasn't just about your videos and your talent and everything. He just seems like such a nice guy. There was more
Thank you.
stuff based on that. So I'm going to say you, and I can't think of a second. So I think you're the most universally liked person in Boston.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, that's good to hear. I definitely try not to burn bridges anywhere I go. I try to, be nice, but that's a good thing to be known for, right? Like, it's better to be like not famous and liked because you're a nice person than to be famous and hated because you're a dick,
For
Can
sure.
I swear
And
on your podcast?
Of course.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'll check that little box on Spotify.
Sick.
but yeah, just just even coming on here, and I know you kind of, you make the rounds on smaller creator podcasts, and it just means a lot, for you to kind of, you could easily have said no when I reached out to you, and I appreciate you coming on.
Hey man, I love this stuff. I came up in the world of radio, so any opportunity I get to talk into a microphone is good.
It is, I grew up just absolutely loving the radio, and even still to this day, I'm 36, and I don't connect Bluetooth or anything in the car. I just listen to what's on the radio. Something about what's being fed to you that way, and, it's an unappreciated art.
It is, and it's so like much less stressful too, right? To just be able to put something on and not have to think about it. And not be looking at your phone and deciding, oh, well, I don't want to listen to this anymore. Like, I got to take my phone out and figure touch buttons on the dash. It's just like, I don't know, you're there, you're hanging out, you're listening to some people who are live. And there's like a magic to that. And that's what initially drew me to the biz is like, I wanted to sort of be that passenger in the seat next to the driver, keeping them company on a long drive. It's like, that's fun. And podcasts do the same, serve exactly the same function, just not live.
Yeah, it's great. It's almost like an old fashioned kind of nature to, you think about back in the day, people huddling around the radio for their programs, and just the live aspect of it is so impressive, I think, because it's
Yeah.
the people on the radio, they don't miss. They maybe trip over their words here and there, but on the whole, it's just a very impressive thing that I think the generations have kind of lost interest in and would rather curate their own stuff and listen to what they want. And just still will always appreciate radio.
I always say it's like it's not about not messing up so much as it is knowing how to handle it when you do mess up, you know? It's like the age-old saying, it's not how you fall down, it's how you get back up. But it's the same exact thing on the radio. People have this weird psychology when a microphone's in front of them that every word out of their mouth needs to be perfect, and then they panic when they trip up or something. And you see it every time someone gets up to a podium to give a speech at a graduation or a wedding or whatever it may be, but it's just like relax. We're all human. We all make mistakes. If you can just like either make a joke out of it or just like move on and just don't worry about it. Nobody cares as much as you do, the person with the microphone.
For sure. Yeah, you just move on, and by the end of it, people don't remember the part,
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
if you bring too much attention to it, that's when people start talking. So just keep the
Exactly.
ball moving down the field.
But now people are going to be paying a lot of attention to it now that we just said it. Like
Yes,
anyone listening to this is going to be like noticing
they'll be
every little
bookmarking.
mistake and how we recover from it. So I'm just trying not to get too much in my head about that. It's so funny that I stuttered as I said that, but whatever.
That's just how it works.
Yeah, that's the biz.
So I want to get into your kind of reporter Matt and what you do with WBZ News Radio. And when I was looking into you a little bit and getting some background, and tell me if this is wrong, because not everything on the internet is factual. But when you were initially approached to kind of do the segments that you do, you weren't completely on board or weren't like totally sold on the idea. Was it you didn't think that you were the fit for it, or it just wasn't something that you wanted to do?
No, it was more just a matter of timing. Like, I certainly thought it was a good idea for WBZ to have a presence on social media. It's just that at the time, I was strictly audio. I was strictly reporting for audio. That's my background. I've been an audio producer, a radio producer. It's what I studied at school. I had no experience in video. And I'm like, I'm already dedicating so much time to making my audio pieces sound so great. It's like, where am I going to find time to squeeze in like video editing on top of all this? But I found a way that kind of worked for everybody and helped us stand out from the pack of what everyone else was doing on social media. And I'm so glad I dabbled in it because it changed not only my life, but the life of this 104 5-year-old AM news radio station.
Yeah, it's and beyond that, and you can kind of tell, that you are so technical in audio and just the way that your process and you got the backpack, you got the headphones, you have the whole thing. And I want you to kind of get into a little bit, and I didn't realize this, that you kind of shoot continuously everything. It's just a constant rolling, and you go back and edit it out later, which I think anybody who does any sort of short form content will think that that's crazy to kind of have to sift through that.
Yeah.
But why don't you go a little into the process and kind of what editing looks like for your videos?
Well, because I think the biggest difference between what I do and what a lot of other short form people do and why they might think it's crazy is because most people in this line of work kind of go into what they're filming planned out with what they're going to say, what they want to capture. And then, and to be honest, they're right. Like that's the best way to do it because it's the most efficient. But for me, I really loved the unplanned, unexpected moments, the just reality of everyday life that yes, I'm in the middle of a report, but now all of a sudden someone's honking at me on the side of the road because they got something they got to say. It's like, I want to record that. I want to capture that. And most importantly, I want to use that. Just all those weird little moments. So it's a lot. I mean, when I was in Norton, Massachusetts, I spent 10 hours in that town that day and I had to edit it down to 3 minutes or less. So luckily, when I'm in situations like that where I know I have a ton, I'm keeping track in my mind of just like what was a great moment and what can I quickly just go back to without having to waste time listening to everything. It's trickier when I'm in a town for like, I don't know, even 3 hours and go home feeling like I have nothing. It's like, well, now I got to really listen to this super close because I got to find every last little morsel of moments that I can find. But the more time I'm out there, the more chance there is for really great moments to happen. So that's usually the way it goes.
Yeah, and I feel like with the camera always being on and the constant rolling, you're not going to miss anything. And
Yeah.
people that if you're just trying to get the shot, the way that the people and the interactions that you have if you were just doing it based on who you were talking to in the moment, you would miss a ton. Like
Mhm.
people that are, the people driving by, the just, people yelling at you from down the sidewalk. You don't necessarily have a camera ready for that, but if you're constantly rolling, it
Right.
allows you to kind of pick up that extra stuff.
I should also say this too. I am recording my audio and my video separately. So I'm constantly rolling on the audio. The video gets turned on and off.
Mhm.
And that's because I'm doing it all on my phone. But with the phone being in my hand the whole time, if someone starts yelling at me, I can very easily just quickly hit record and then we're going. It's not like I have to set up the camera and the tripod and the light. And so, yeah, it doesn't look as pretty as the other journalists, but it works and it's quick. And I've heard it described as run and gun style recording. So
Okay.
I like that.
So
I'm a
you've
Mega Man fan, so run and gun is good. Yeah.
you have had, countless stories that have gone viral that have really connected with people. What Go back to the beginning. What do you think the first one was that you were like, "Oh, this is something special?" Is
Yeah,
there a pinpoint?
definitely. So the first video I think that hit 1,000,000 views is the one that was for me like, whoa, there's some potential here. And that was just a total, since you said we can swear, it was a shit post. It was like it was not a news story at all. I thought it was funny. I had observed that there's a certain section in downtown Boston, a quarter-mile radius where you can hit, I think, something like 15 Dunkin Donuts. And I just thought that was funny that in such a small area. So what I did was I did a food, like a cafe tour. It was one of those, style, like come with me to check. So this was like, come with me to check out like Boston's most iconic cafes. Here's a walking tour that you can do in Boston. And the joke was that every stop was a Dunkin'. And so that got to 1,000,000 views. I think somebody on Twitter had posted it and was like, who let the local AM news station have a TikTok account and why is it so funny? And like when I saw that, I was like, yes, because it's true. Like at the time, like the kind of media outlet that I was working for was just really not doing anything like that. Certainly a lot of them have kind of picked up on it by now, but yeah, that was the first one where I was like, there's really something here.
I think it's kinda cool, and I just thought of this as you said it, the AM radio company putting out content. I feel
Yeah.
like, say from the pandemic on, there's these pages on TikTok or Instagram or anything that are like business accounts that almost the account becomes like more valuable than the brand itself. And they just put out content, whether it's like a pizza place that goes viral for, doing a video a certain way, or like, I found this, I like follow this place on TikTok. It's like a diner in Ohio because they like put out hilarious videos. And it's so funny that,
Yeah.
it's not just content, driven people. It's like businesses kind of getting in the mix, and
Oh, yeah.
um, it's
Everyone
great.
needs everyone needs a social media presence now. It's wild. Like if you are a business and you do not have a social media presence, like I think actually I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure actually I'm opening up a new tab here. Can you still see me?
Yep, yep.
I'm pretty sure Trader Joe's doesn't have an Instagram account or
Which is
like
crazy.
which is crazy because I was trying to like tweet them at one point or something and be like, "Hey, you screwed up this thing." And I realized, "Oh, wait, they don't." Okay, so there is a Trader Joe's account on Instagram and it looks like it's verified. Okay, so they have an Instagram.
They do. Okay.
They've caught up. But the point is a few years ago they didn't, and that was just insane to me. Now everyone needs it.
That seems like if you were to say a business that would have a thriving social media, it would be Trader Joe's.
You would think so, right? They're like I don't know, the quirky class clown of the grocery store world.
For sure. I was in the new one in West Roxbury the other day, and
How
I
is
just
it?
was it's I'm not gonna say, it's awful. Don't go there. The parking
He's
the parking
gatekeeping.
is yeah. I actually almost did a video, like, doing a review saying, trying to put out there that it's terrible, but no, it's probably the best. I think the Somerville one's great, and then I love this one, but,
Have you
or
sorry,
le
I don't mean to derail your story one more
no, you're
time,
good.
but have you been to the one in Lower Alston at the corner of Western Ave and North Harvard Street?
I don't think I have.
So I used to live not far from there, and that to me was the best one because it's free garage parking. So like
But yeah.
and Trader Joe's is notorious for bad parking lots, but that was amazing. And it's actually a big space so you can move around. Trader Joe's is also notorious for really narrow aisles.
Yep. No,
So
the West Roxbury one is great. It's big and spacious, and the parking is the best parking I've ever been to. So,
I'm glad
that's
I
not
met
in a
an
bigger complex.
Yeah, I'm glad I met another Trader Joe's loyalist here because, like, you get it, you know? It's like once you experience the Joe, you can't
Oh,
go
yeah,
back to the nose, you know? I
exactly.
for a long time, I wanted to start a Instagram account called Joe's versus Pros, where I review the Trader Joe's versions of popular name brand products and then compare them to the name brand products, because there are some things that they do much better, definitely some things that they do worse. Um, but they have like a Trader Joe's version of just about everything.
Yeah, and even if it's worse or not as good as the original, at least it's like a third of the price.
That's the other thing. People, yes, Market Basket is very affordable, and I like that. We are a Market Basket household for sure. But I'm also a Trader Joe's guy, and I save so much money. Like going to Trader Joe's and can feed the family for like 2/3, of the costs that it would be elsewhere.
Yeah, you actually this transitioning a little bit, you mentioned your family. I didn't
Yeah,
realize that you had kids.
yeah,
But
man.
I loved that post the other day of, oh, that's the Dunkin logo, and
Yeah.
you didn't know what he was talking about. And then when you
Yes.
showed the next slide, I was dying laughing at that.
Yeah, so that I'll explain for anyone who didn't see. My daughter, actually, it was my daughter who was doing a puzzle with a map of the United States, and when she saw the outline of the US, she was like, "It kind of looks like the Dunkin' Donuts logo." I was like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, the thing that's chasing the man." And I was like, "What?" And then I remembered the America runs on Dunkin' logos.
Yep.
Like that was her association with the outline of the US. That's just a
If
true New England kid right there.
if there was ever any doubt that that's where she was from, is that'll expose it right there.
Yeah, and that was my 6-year-old, and my 3-year-old said something so New England just this morning as I was taking her out to the car to bring her to preschool. She was like, "Dad, I don't want to go to preschool today." I'm like, "Well, where do you want to go?" She's like, "Market Basket." I'm like, "Hell yeah."
Love it, love it. But yeah, back to the stories, like you mentioned the one that kind of puts you on the map. I'm gonna give you, my three favorite. Also a Duncan one. The Duncan Desert was
Yeah,
just an epic one.
thank
Um,
you.
and then the Water Whiz, the whole Water Whiz
The
composer
water country theme.
or
Yeah,
Water
yeah.
Country. Yes, I'm
You're
sorry,
from the
Water.
South Shore. I
I'm
like it. Or
I'm from the Cape, so
you're
Water
from the
Whiz
Cape.
is
That's
yep,
right. Yeah, Water Whiz was definitely the stop on the way home from the Cape. But Water Country was the one that we all heard on our radios growing up and on TV. The song of the summer for any millennial who grew up in New England.
yep. But yeah, so for those who haven't seen that one,
Thank you.
the guy who made that absolute banger of a song had never actually been to Water Country.
And I brought him.
Dreams do come true.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't
And then my
bring him, to be fair. I met him there, but I set it up so that he could
yes,
go there and I interviewed him. And I'm the first person that had ever interviewed him about writing the Water Country jingle. So I'm proud of that.
that almost like you would have assumed that somebody would have tracked him down because I mean, that
Yeah.
is, there's like that and like Giant Glass are like the two songs that just like are ingrained in people from this area.
Or what about Foxwoods? Take a chance, make
Foxwoods,
it
that's another good one.
happen. Oh yeah.
Which is kind of I saw that kinda got some steam on TikTok, people, like, singing along to that, like, when they were going to Foxwoods.
It's been in the back of my head for a while that I should track that guy down too. And somebody did recently just suggest it again in my DMs. And I'm like, you know what? I think it's time we revisit this idea.
Yeah,
So,
I agree, and then the last one is it's a little bit of a selfish one, but the return of the potato skins to the 99.
oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a 99 former 99 employee, I worked there for 7 years, and then I
Wow.
actually went back and I worked at the one in Charlestown, and I
Yeah.
was an actual employee when you did that story, but I wasn't there that day.
Oh, no. Man, yeah, that was well, I didn't tell anyone from the 99 that I was going there to record that. But
They
this
probably
is
would have said no.
but yeah, well, right? Like this is the thing. Yeah, in this line of work, you have to kind of weigh the consequences of, is it better to ask permission than forgiveness or whatever the saying goes? Like something like that. Yeah, you're right. They're probably going to want to heavily control the messaging on that, right? If you have to go through a marketing department. But I'm just like, No way, man. This is a story about the people. This is something that the people are missing because 99 took it away, this big corporation. If I'm going to speak truth to power and bring back 99 potato skins, I'm not going to go through their corporate office. Although I did, however, show up at the doorstep of their corporate office and knock on the door and no one answered.
In
No one
up in
would come.
Woburn.
So I gave them a chance. And you know what? To be fair, after I had recorded all my interviews for that, I did the professional journalist thing and I did reach out to them and say, hey, do you have a statement on this or whatever? Or is there anyone who I can interview? And they said, sure, you can talk to the bartender at the Woburn location. I was like, really? Okay. Some of these like local chains are much more chill about this stuff. Like Market Basket, so chill about me recording on their premises. Like they don't care. They'll come out and maybe see like, hey, what are you doing? I'm just recording. Okay, no problem. See you later. Whereas like Stop and Shop, they will like lay down the band hammer
Oh,
on
yeah.
me so hard.
Yeah, it's I mean, I'm sure it's probably gotten easier over time. Like you don't destroy people. Like there's always like humor in what you're doing. So I think
That's what I'm
that's probably
saying.
got
Thank
you
you.
some trust and credibility that like
Yeah.
if you're showing up and doing a story, more likely than not, I mean, that's probably great. That was great advertising for the 99. It gave people kind of a reminder.
Right? Like there are brands constantly all up in my DMs being like, hey, come do a story about our new pizza shop or, whatever. And it's like the ones that I hit up and say, hey, can I do a story about this thing? And they're like, I don't know. It's like, why don't you talk to all those other brands that are begging me to go do a story about them? Like, I'm telling you, it's going to be good. You're right. I very, very rarely tear people down. And in the case of the 99, yes, we wanted to bring back potato skins. And it was a love letter to the 99 is what it was. It was me being like, we love 99 and that's exactly why we want you to bring back the potato skins. And you know what? They did.
They
So
did.
it was a win for everybody. And Duncan too. You mentioned the Duncan Desert thing. Like I'm sure they wouldn't have loved the shots of like cigarette butts sitting next to trashed Dunkin' things or whatever on the ground. It's like, but they saw the video and they loved the phenomenon of the whole thing. And going forward with every video that came out after that, they were almost like a partner in it. They were like, yeah, hey, we'll get, just to give you a heads up, we're going to open a location in Stowe now again. And we want you to be the first to know and to report on it. And I'm like, absolutely. And it's not like they step in and say, here's what you can and can't say. They're just literally tipping me off to being like, hey, it's happening in this building. Grand opening is going to be on this day. You should cover it. You know?
That's great. At any given point, how many kind of ideas or story kind of things do you have? I'm sure you're getting tips constantly, and people that want you to come, but,
Yeah.
like, how do you kinda map out the stories that you plan on covering?
Yeah, you're right. I constantly have a list, and I would say the majority of them I just never get to just because I have so many that I'm doing. And these days they're all so involved. It really is just driven by which ones I'm the most excited about and passionate about. And I find 9 times out of 10, if I'm really excited about a story, the people watching will be excited about it too. And it's much easier to sell something that I'm passionate about and care about, you know? There's only been a few rare exceptions where like I'm super into a story and I really believe in it, and then just nobody cares. So yeah, that's the main thing. But then also ideas I'll run by like the newsroom every morning. We have our reporter meeting and I'll say, hey, here's what I'm thinking about doing. And based on other people's reactions, sometimes I can judge if it's going to be a good story, if it's something that anybody cares about. So I'll do it that way too.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand, like, you're reporting for the news, but you have so many hits that even when there is one that maybe doesn't connect the same way, if you got enjoyment out of it in your craft of doing it and putting it out
Totally.
there, it's worth it just for that.
Totally. And again, like if I've said this a billion times, but I really believe it. If I'm not having fun doing a story, then why should I expect anybody to have fun watching it? You know? So I got to try to make the recording process as fun as possible for me. Even if that means recording an entire like song by myself, playing every instrument to lay under the video, like that's fun for me and it makes the editing process so much more fun. So I'm going to have fun with it.
What's kind of a funny moment that never really made it in or any sort of kind of like had to be left on the cutting room floor? Like I said, is uncensored, so you can kind of say whatever.
Yeah.
But anything that really, wouldn't fly on AM radio, but when it comes to behind the scenes,
When is this episode gonna air? If I
um,
if I may ask.
possibly Friday.
Okay, so that's
Yeah,
too soon, I will say, because some of that stuff I'm saving for my first ever live show.
of
I
course, yeah,
have like a bunch of footage that just for one reason or another I couldn't include in a video. But I'm going to be playing it live in front of people. It's going to be a really fun surprise. But I'll tell you about a time that I had something on the cutting room floor for years and I was able to pull it back and reuse it. And that was when I was doing a story about, have you ever been to Porter Station on the MBTA on the Red Line? It's got like the longest staircase in America. That's not a fact. That's just me saying it's an
yeah, yeah.
extremely long staircase.
I
Um,
probably have.
yeah,
Yeah,
and the escalator's always broken, so, like, people are constantly having to walk those stairs, and then they're just sweating and, like, in a horrible shape by the time they get to the top. So, I was doing a story about that and ended up not being able to finish the story because I had to move on to something else. But in recording it, I had bumped into this really funny, engaging person who was so passionate about the MBTA. She came over to me because she saw the microphone and she was like, "Hey, are you with the news? Like, I just love the MBTA. I love it more than anything." And I did this whole interview with her and I was like, "This is amazing." And I wasn't really able to use it because I had to cut the story. But then just a couple years later, I was watching Netflix and there she was on Love on the
love on.
Spectrum.
Yep.
This is Perry. For anyone who watches the show knows exactly who I'm talking about. She is on the autism spectrum. She is extremely passionate about obvious trains, as many people are on the spectrum, but the MBTA in particular. And Netflix had reached out, being like, "Hey, we're doing some press about the new season of Love on the Spectrum. There's a new cast member from Boston," and I was like, "Hold up, I know her." So when I did a follow-up interview with her and I was able to bring back that footage and it was amazing.
I remember when you brought that back, and I was when you said Redline, I was gonna bring up Perry because I
Yeah.
mean, and talk about a show that when you kind of hear it, what the description is, you're kind of like, I don't know how, but like the most heartwarming,
Yeah.
sweet show that you could ever watch.
It's so
Um,
good.
and the just the kids or young adults that are on that show, they're just the sweetest people, and that is
Yeah.
a show that Netflix definitely did right. But Perry, our local celebrity, and you know
Yeah.
riding the T with Michelle Wu, and kind
Yep.
of is, I mean, the MBTA should be paying her for the work that she does.
Well, they
Uh,
hired her now. She's an
okay,
intern, which is
okay,
amazing. So I think she is actually getting paid by the
wow.
MBTA, but not for the advocacy, though. You're right. I agree. She should be. And her girlfriend Tina is fantastic too.
Yep.
Sorry, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen the season.
Well, yeah, no, yeah, Perry's great. I'm glad we brought that up. My wife will be happy to hear that if she
Yeah.
listens to this episode.
Perry is
Um,
genuinely one of the best people I have ever interviewed. I've talked to her multiple times. I've interviewed her and she's just so great because every word out of her mouth is so fun and like passionate and like just awesome. That's like a dream interview. I'm sure you've talked to people on this podcast where you're like working really hard to get something
yeah,
out of them, but like Perry is not that way at all. She's just like on fire the whole time.
that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I would love to meet her someday, but maybe I'll have to spend some time on the red line. I'll bump into her.
You probably will.
I'm gonna get into some rapid fire Boston questions or Massachusetts questions. What would you say the most underrated town in Massachusetts is?
Ooh, that's a great question. So I've brought this up on podcasts before. So I apologize for being redundant, but I had such a surprisingly fun time in Clinton, Massachusetts. Just like there is so much fun. The oldest baseball diamond in America is there. Some people will dispute that in another part of the country. They'll say, "Oh no, ours is older," but they actually moved the diamond to the other side of the field. So the oldest actual diamond is in Clinton, Massachusetts. They got an amazing dam. They got an abandoned train tunnel you can walk through. I love that. Let me actually, because I want to give you a different, unique answer that I haven't talked about before. Let me pull up a map of Massachusetts so I can, because because doing this off the top of my head is tricky. Um, I will say that the Dunkin' in Stowe, the new one that they just built, is the best Dunkin' in all of Massachusetts. And I'm not just saying that because there's a framed picture of me up on the wall. I'm
It doesn't
also
hurt.
it genuinely is, first of all, the most spacious. There's a ton of room. There's a porch, a wraparound porch that with a swing on it. Oh, and it's covered too under an awning, so you can sit in the shade in the summer. You can sit out there on a rainy day, and it's got like a swing bench with like donuts as the backrest. It's the best Dunkin' in Massachusetts by far. Um, that wasn't your question, but that's just something
No,
I wanted to
that's
say.
good. That's good intel.
What are some other towns I loved exploring? Norwood was a ton of fun. Yeah, man. I don't know if any are like underrated. Maybe
Yeah.
overlooked is the better word for it,
Yeah,
right?
that's probably a better way.
I loved my Oh, you know what? You know what's underrated? I haven't really done a full story on it yet, but Maynard, Massachusetts. Have you been to Maynard?
I don't think I have. I've probably driven through.
They got like it's kind of out of the way. It's not like directly on the highway. It's next to Acton and Sudbury and a bunch of bigger towns, Stowe as well. But they've got a cute little downtown with like a bunch of fun little restaurants and bars. And they have a really old fashioned movie theater that with the old school seats. So I wanted to take my kids to see the SpongeBob movie over Christmas break, and it was sold out everywhere except for Maynard, where we were literally like the only ones in the theater. Actually, hold up. That's not true. We were the only ones in the theater until the movie actually started. And another family came in and chose to sit in the seats directly behind
Oh,
us. They could have sat anywhere in the theater, but they had to sit in the ones right behind us. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? That's like the unspoken rule at the urinals, right?
yeah.
Standing right next to someone.
That's one of those things that it shouldn't bother you, but it'll ruin your day.
Yes.
That's the type of
Yes.
stuff that my wife is like, "Why do you care about that?" And it's like, you don't understand. It's the most diabolical thing that they could have done.
100%. Like, you have to consider other people when you walk into a movie theater too. Like, yes, you got to take the seat that is best for you, but also if there's like a ton of options, you don't have to be near other people. So,
I couldn't agree more. What is the best food town in
oh
Massachusetts?
my gosh, I forgot we're doing rapid fire and I just gave you like a 5 minute
No,
answer.
that's I
Sorry,
mean,
man.
I shouldn't say rapid fire, but just kinda quick, not even quick, just
Yes.
some
Best
questions.
Okay, best food town in Massachusetts, Framingham, where I live right now. We have so much. We were once the biggest town in America, I think, by population density or something like that. But we just became a city. And so now we're just a little city, but we're a little city with a ton to do and a ton of places to eat. Some of the best Brazilian food you'll ever have because we have one of the highest Brazilian populations in all of America outside of like Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. And we got all the corporate chains too. So if you're like really itching for some Olive Garden or something, we got that. But we've also got some really great Italian places too. So highly recommend Framingham, Massachusetts for food.
So, fun fact, Framingham, Massachusetts is where I was born,
Hey,
and I've always used that biggest town, argument. This is breaking news to me that they have upgraded to a city.
yeah, that happened in, I want to say, like 2017, just before we moved here. We moved here in 2018. So it's always been a city with a mayor since we've lived here. But before that, you're right, biggest town. It was a great factoid.
So is it because they have a mayor, it's considered a city? Like, what defines it, the difference between a town and a city?
It's a great question. And honestly, I didn't know that until I moved to Framingham. And basically, it's exactly that. It's the structure of government. Towns are governed by like a town select board, usually, or something like that. Whereas cities elect a mayor and have a city council. So it's just sort of the different branches of government. The advantage to being a city, as I understand it, is it makes it easier to get like aid from the state if there's like a weather emergency or something or like a natural disaster. You can just have the mayor call up and say something. You don't
That
have to
makes
do
sense.
like a vote or have like a board like reach out. So there's like, I mean, that's one of the advantages. I'm sure there are many others and I'm not the most educated person to talk about it, but those are the ones that come to mind.
That makes sense. I think you kind of already answered this question, but so we'll go with a second place. The most interesting person you've met along the way doing this, 'cause I think we're gonna have to give that to Perry.
Ooh, Perry's for sure up there. Interesting. I mean, so many, man. I mean, the video that I just posted like about a week and a half ago of this woman who sweeps up salt on the in the middle of the road in Boston. She sweeps that up. She like people like that are so interesting to me. Or the guy up in Salem, Massachusetts, who has like the biggest M&M's collection in his house I've ever seen. Just like people who are so unashamed to be themselves are my favorite types of people. Everyday people who you would never otherwise know about,
Mhm.
non-celebrity types.
That's the best kind of thing that comes out of what you do, I think, and
Thank you.
the one of the more recent ones that you put out that I was dying laughing at is the Bort license plate in the Simpsons couple,
Yes.
and just the thought of her just getting constant bills for Easy Pass because everybody has those novelty license plates that say Bort because it looks like
Yep.
Massachusetts.
They have the fake plates, exactly, that look more like Massachusetts. So from all across the country, actually, it's almost, I think it's like 95% from New York City. For whatever's going on, I think the New Yorkers are like, just send it to the Pats fans. We don't care. But yeah, it's amazing.
I wonder if after that story got out, if there was a run on those license plates thinking like, "Oh, I can send my Easy Pass bill to somebody else."
Probably she's still getting the bills and they haven't fixed it yet. It's amazing.
I was trying to think watching, I'm like, I don't even know what they could do to stop that.
So, yeah, I mean, it's a great question. For the story, had tried reaching out to New York City, like Department of Transportation or whatever. Basically, nobody knew how to deal with it. Everyone was giving me the runaround, like, "Oh, that's not my problem. You need to talk to this person. Oh, you need to talk to this person, that person." Eventually, I just gave up and said, "You know what? Screw it. I'm not going to solve this problem. I'm just going to tell the story."
Yeah, that's great. What is something kind of on your radar or a story that you maybe haven't got around to that you're dying to tell?
Gosh, see, that's a tricky one because I don't want to give away too many
True,
secrets
true.
and have other amazing reporters like Mike Sullivan from WBZ TV go out there
Yes.
and steal my amazing ideas. He's fantastic, by the way. But actually, he and I have been talking about collaborating on a story. And you know what? What the hell? I'll say this. So, where did you go to college, Seamus? Can I ask?
I went to, Franklin Pierce in New Hampshire.
Frank. Okay, so if you had gone to say BU like Mike Sullivan did, or Emerson like I did, any Boston school, you would probably be familiar with this guy in the mid 2000s who used to run up and down Com Ave wearing heavy weighted vests, weighted bracelets, weighted anklets, weighted hat, like it just like looking like the most intense army training sort of simulation that you've ever seen in your life. And Mike actually, as a student at BU, did a story on the guy. He wasn't able to find the guy, but he just interviewed people on the street about him, like, "What's up with that guy?" And people were like, "Oh, yeah, I don't know." So I was talking to him about that recently, and we were saying, like, we should try to find him. Whatever happened to, like, the weighted vest Comav runner guy? Like, he's got to be around somewhere. He's probably the most jacked dude in the city by now. Like, what's his story? So that's something that we're talking about doing.
A reporter Matt and Mike Sullivan collaboration would be, I mean, that'd be the Super Bowl in my house.
That's how I'd finally get my Emmy. That's what that's what I'm gonna do.
It'd be a co-Emmy.
Exactly.
All right, Matt, this has been so much fun. You're just as nice as everybody has made you out to be. I really
Oh, thank
appreciate you
you.
coming on.
Of
Um,
course.
for the couple people that are going to listen to this that don't know who you are, where can people find you and your work?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at reporter Matt or any other platform. I was not lucky enough to get the same handle on every platform ever. So at WBZ News Radio is fine, or TikTok, you know, Twitter X, whatever. But reporter Matt on Instagram is me personally.
Awesome. And when are the Emmys for the news?
Great question. I actually didn't submit anything this year because here's a little insider secret I'll tell you. You actually have to pay to submit to the Emmys to be nominated. And the station was kind of like, I don't know if we should be paying for this anymore. Like, we're filming vertical videos on an Android. Like, I don't know if it's worth our money. Plus, we're a radio station. Like, it's more important that the TV people win these. So I didn't submit this year. Maybe again someday down the line.
Well, you let me know the next time you submit, and I will make sure Mike Sullivan is out of the country and unable to attend. Uh,
Hell yeah. Maybe I'll just
or
submit in a category that I know he won't submit. Like, I'll do a Spanish language video and submit for like one of those categories because, like, I know he won't do a video in Spanish, but I
I,
can.
will- if I mean, if he listens to this, he might.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
but yeah, if tell me which year you want, and I'll next time I'm at his house, I'll grab it for you.
I love like I should give background for anyone listening. We were joking before because every time I've been nominated for an Emmy, I have lost to Mike Sullivan. But he's a great guy. I am a big Mike Sullivan fan, one of the best journalists in Boston, hands down. So if there's anyone worth losing to in this city, it's him.
And Mike Sullivan is my cousin.
That's
So,
right. That's our
so
connection.
that's the connection there.
So good.
All right, Matt. Well, thank you so much. We will
Course.
definitely do this again, and maybe I'll run into you on the streets of Maynard someday.
It'd be awesome. Yeah, we'll go catch a movie. And we don't have to sit next to each other if you don't want to.
I'll give you plenty of space. Don't worry.
Awesome. Have a good one, Seamus.
You too.